This message is for Admiral Jean Luc Picard.
Coming up, an urgent distress call from Beverly Crusher plucks Admiral Jean Luc Picard out of retirement.
Starfleet recruitment. I need to speak with a security official. You're under threat of a terrorist attack.
Raffi is in a race against time to stop an imminent attack on the Federation.
You're gonna tell me what the hell you two are really doing here, or I'm about to throw both of you out an airlock and never look back.
Watch it, Commander.
Commander 7 of 9 puts her career in jeopardy by helping Riker and Picard against her captain's orders.
Beverly would never call out in order to save only herself.
And who's this? The sun.
And Picard and Riker's rescue mission uncovers an earth-shattering secret.
All this and more.
Coming up on the Star Trek Picard edition of Energize.
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 We're jumping to warp speed with Jean-Luc Picard and the Star Trek Next Generation crew.
You're listening to Energize, a Star Trek Picard podcast, your source for in-depth analysis, colorful debate, and exciting discussions about the final adventure of Admiral Jean-Luc Picard and the Enterprise D crew. I'm your host, Anthony McLemore.
And I'm Steve Truitt.
This week, Beverly Crusher sends out an ominous distress call that puts the security of the Federation in question.
Meanwhile, Raffi works desperately to recover stolen Federation tech that could destroy it.
Who's after Beverly Crusher, and why?
And can Raffi stop a potentially catastrophic attack on the Federation before it's too late?
Here's a warp speed recap of Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 1, The Next Generation.
Warning, security breach. This message is for Admiral Jean Luc Picard. Admiral Picard, I'm encoding this transmission with coordinates. Listen to me very carefully. No Starfleet. Trust no one.
Well, I need to find a ship. We need to find a ship. I think I may have a workaround. Come on.
Welcome to the Titan. Admiral on the bridge. And Captain on the bridge.
Captain Riker and I would like to change course.
No.
You're gonna tell me what the hell you two are really doing here, or I'm about to throw both of you out an airlock and never look back.
Watch it, Commander. You disobeyed orders.
Welcome to the Righton system, gentlemen.
Someone want to tell me what the hell I am looking at?
You just loyalty'd your way to the end of a career.
I am Starfleet Admiral Jean Luc Picard. Now lower your weapon.
And who's this? The sun.
All right, Steve, we've been waiting for months, and with little teaser trailers and a couple of full trailers, and now Picard, the final season, is here, and I'm excited.
I gotta be honest, I've been waiting since the end of Nemesis for this. I felt that Nemesis did not wrap it up the way I wanted. When they brought out Picard 3 years ago, they said this will not be a Next Generation reboot or a Next Generation reunion, and I was bummed about that too. I loved season 1 and 2, but this is what the fans want. This is the goodbye that we deserve and the one that we desperately wanted, and now we're getting it.
Yeah, the Next Generation cast, in effect, is getting their Star Trek The Undiscovered Country.
That's right. And the thing I love about it, and all the producers will tell you this, what they're doing is they're saying, look, it's been 20 years. You think they're going to be the same people? They are not. Everybody has changed, just like you've changed in the last 20 years. This is what I love about what they're doing. It's not the cookie-cutter 1987 Enterprise. This is, listen, we've gone through some shit, and now we're different, and we're going to see that.
And I think that's what's going to make this season really effective, is that as they have aged, like you said, we have aged.
You can just, I don't know, you can just tell it's going to be big.
All right, so let's get to it.
I just want to be the one you love.
996.2. The Enterprise remains concealed in the dust cloud.
Right at the top of the show, we see what appears to be a Starfleet vessel deep in the nether regions of space, and there's music playing.
I love this because whenever Star Trek plays classical or plays something from the 40s or the 20s, I don't know what it is. It's a steampunk kind of feel that I feel. But when you hear that music, I don't want to set the world on fire. I think two things. One, incredible music. And two, yes, you do, because that's exactly what's going to happen in this season. Someone's going to set the world on fire, and we need to be ready.
Exactly. And the one great thing that Star Trek has done as of late in their series, that when they put things out there for you to see, everything has significance. Everything is pointing in a direction.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing here. So as we're moving visually through the ship, we pass a screen and you hear Picard, one of Picard's archived logs from the battle with the Borg, basically talking about hiding the ship inside of a nebula.
Right. This was the night when he talked to Guinan before the battle. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he said, how will history remember us? Turn the page. Right? That was the night that he did that. And so that was the log from that night. And how interesting is it that now we see somebody else hiding in a nebula, probably based on that history.
Exactly. So automatically they're doing some foreshadowing there. And so as we continue to visually move through the ship, we pass a footlocker. And I had to stop it for a second because I was like, wait a minute. I think I see something there. And it said, and I played it back just a hair, and it said Lieutenant Commander Jack Crusher, which is Beverly Crusher's late husband that got killed in the accident.
And best friend of Picard.
Exactly. So I'm just like, okay, there's a footlocker there. What is that? Right. What are they trying to tell me? Because clearly they're telling us something. We just don't know what it is yet.
And like you and I have both said in virtually every episode we've covered, whether it's Strange New Worlds or Lower Decks or Picard, everything means something. Keep your eyes open. Watch everything. Easter eggs are everywhere. These producers love us, and they're going to give us everything that we are asking for. That was a tee up to, well, if this is Jack Crusher's footlocker, well, then that means Beverly Crusher is here, and that's when we see her.
Warning, security breach, hull damage, unauthorized docking.
They found us.
Helios, activate warp drive.
And so, immediately Beverly Crusher comes into frame, and so you're seeing her, and the computer notifies her that there is a security breach and they're about to be boarded.
They found us, she says, which I love. I love that line. It tells me everything I need to know. I've been hiding, I've been running from someone, and they found us. Instant peril, tons of history that we don't need to know, but we'll find out. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, Beverly, what have you been doing? A, why are you in the nether regions of space?
Yeah.
And why is somebody hunting you down? What have you been doing?
Why aren't you on the Pasteur, that bubble-looking ship, healing people from Cremorian sunrises and all the other problems that they have?
Helios, divert all power to the warp core.
Working.
Get us the hell out of here.
She fires up the warp drive, and while it's warming up and firing up, because clearly we're going to have to get out of here, she grabs a rifle, and I'm just like, oh man.
Well, don't forget too, one of the other shipmates is like, I want to help, and she shuts him off, shuts the door, and she handles it herself. These aliens or whoever they are board the ship, and she starts shooting like John McClane in Die Hard.
Oh yeah, they came in hot. I mean, one guy was like firing what would be the equivalent of a machine gun, And she was dishing it out. She immediately killed one of them. And this is a new look,
Vaporized.
Beverly Crusher.
Yep.
I'm just like, whoa. But at the same time, she gets wounded.
Which sucks, right? And she gets shot, I think, a couple of places. And you and I had both talked about this before the show, and that was, have we ever seen her like this before? And my answer was yes, kind of, during the episode in TNG where she was in this warp static bubble by herself, and the whole universe was collapsing around her, if you remember that episode. And it went from 1,000 people on the ship to 100 to nobody. Crusher, her son, and the Traveler are trying to help her escape from that. And that's when we are introduced to the Traveler, and when Wesley is introduced to the Traveler. And so that kind of felt like that. Like that's her training.
Yeah, but this was way more of an aggressive stance than I've seen before. And the way that she was moving, it was like an action hero. And so,
she rolled and moved and shot.
Oh yeah. I mean, she meant business. And then when she shot one of them, she like stood over the other one and vaporized him at point blank. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's no mercy here.
Yeah, she's like Seven in a way.
Ilios, prepare to send a transmission. Subspace frequency myriad codec.
This message is for Admiral Jean Luc Picard.
She's wounded, and more ships are coming, and so she's in some serious trouble. So she, goes and sends a coded message to Admiral Picard.
Yep, and jumps to warp.
And I'm just like, at that point, I'm like, all right, I'm in. It's on. Let's go.
Yeah. Then they cut to the opening theme, which is the Jerry Goldsmith music, of both TNG and the original movie. And you're like, oh my God, it's the 80s again.
You have to have the same feeling. Music strikes a nerve with people. And if you just stick...
It's a memory creator.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that was the right move.
Laris, these things from my past, they're mementos of dear friends, old and new, but they're memories.
Next, we find Jean-Luc Picard and Laris, and that's the Romulan housekeeper who Picard is now romantically involved with.
She's not keeping house anymore. She's keeping him.
Yes.
Hi-yo.
Hello. But here's the thing.
Hi-yo.
But here's the thing. At the end of season 2, Picard had finally gotten over his issues, which were tied to his mother's suicide when he was a kid that he felt responsible for, and now he's open to love. Yeah, it was great. I thought that was good. Yeah. So now you can see that he's got a spring in his step, and it's apparent that he is taking a big step. So they're packing up his house. He's about to give away all of his memorabilia.
And he's moving away with her to go to her place. Like it's Chateau Picard is, done essentially.
Yeah. So this is like a big step in his life. So automatically, this is resonating in the fact that eventually, you hope that you can get over issues from the past and move on. And that's what he's doing. Yeah. And so his demeanor is completely different. That hard edge, it seems to be gone. Mm-hmm. And so,
which is rare and great.
Yeah.
And something you'd expect from an 82-year-old man who, by the way, I can't get over this and I'll never forgive them for this, but he is an android, which I have never agreed with, and I'm pissed about it. But okay, fine. He's an android who will age normally, which is so strange to me, but neither here nor there.
I want to give it to Geordi.
Give it away.
He is running the Fleet Museum. He will love it.
So he's free and happy. He's packing up his thing, and he makes a reference to Geordi LaForge, sending his beautiful painting of Star Trek Enterprise D to Geordi. So Geordi is now running the Fleet Museum.
Right. We know that we're going to see Geordi. We're teeing that up, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. So automatically, we're dropping little nuggets to prepare us for what's to come.
Computer, do you hear that alert?
Yes.
Where is it?
Unable to determine location.
So later on, Picard is sitting there at his desk, and what happens?
Whatever the noise is, I can't do it. It's the comm badge, and he starts looking for it, and it's that old, because it's a brilliant way to bring out the comm badge, because he's throwing away all his old stuff, and there it is, the Enterprise D original comm badge, and it is pulsing, and he's like, I gotta figure out what the hell this is.
Detecting encrypted long-range transmission via a subspace frequency. It contains an uncommon codec.
There's a coded message, and an old code at that requires his old old password.
Which, by the way, I wrote it down, but I don't have it here. Picard Alpha Tango. That was the code that he used for self-destruct in First Contact.
Yep. And so the message opens, and it's Beverly Crusher. So the look on his face, speaks volumes, as if he hasn't seen her in a gazillion years.
It seems like he hasn't. He seems surprised.
Yeah.
But he also, but we know from both TNG, the last episode, that there may have been history there, that they have always been close to being intimate.
Right. It's been a lot of will they, won't they, and it never materialized for
35 years of will they, won't they, by the way.
Yeah.
Admiral Picard, I'm encoding this transmission with coordinates. Listen to me very carefully. No Starfleet. Trust no one.
So Beverly Crusher, gives him coordinates to her ship.
Yeah.
So that he can find her. And
well,
then
she says, I'm in distress. Come get me.
Come get me. And she mentions the word Hellbird. And I'm just like, Hellbird, what does that mean? I'm just running through my Rolodex of Star Trek. I'm like, have I ever heard Hellbird?
Right.
Is Hellbird part of something?
Right.
Am I missing it? And not to trust anyone at Starfleet.
No one. Trust no one. Which to me, because listen, everyone listening to this and you and I both know that the entire Next Generation crew is coming back, because we know this. Could it be one of them? We don't know. Could it be her? So I'm going to keep my eye out for who I actually think we shouldn't trust.
The point that Beverly Crusher is saying, don't trust anyone, leads me to believe that Starfleet might be infiltrated.
And here's the thing. We see this all the time with Section 31. And we saw it in the first season of TNG when those aliens took over the admirals and they stuck in their brains and the little tails were sticking out the back of their heads. Like, the one thing I always see as a trend with Starfleet is that they're always an entity that can't be trusted, even though everyone like Picard says Starfleet is a peacekeeping armada and we're here to... And yet Starfleet is so fucking corrupt.
Well, I think any big organization, if it gets so big, you can't control it.
Yeah, which is weird because Gene Roddenberry's vision was like, no, actually, we're perfect, and we're going to go out and spread perfection to the world is almost a religious thing. So it is weird that it's always tainted.
I haven't spoken with her for over 20 years. Neither has any other member of the old crew. She just cut us off.
So the next day, Picard discusses this with Laris, and she gives her blessing. We find out that Picard hasn't spoken to her in 20 years, and their last meeting did not go well.
Yeah. And for some reason, they, broke up or they split, and he needs to go find her, obviously. And he and Laris were planning it, to move and to go off together, but that's not happening.
And not only did she cut off Picard, she cut off everybody else.
Yeah.
No one else from the bridge crew of Enterprise D has spoken to her.
Very strange.
I'm just like, what's the deal? There's something to this. And so my interest has been piqued at this point.
Without a doubt.
So who is he going to go to for help?
He's going to Captain William T. Riker.
Good to see you, Will. Look at you. The handsome elder statesman of Starfleet.
They meet in a bar.
Yeah. They meet up in a bar. Riker's sitting there, and I guess there's an event coming up, this Frontier Day. So
I love
little
that.
trinkets of ships and things like that.
Yep.
And there are a lot of Enterprise Ds laying around.
Yeah, and it's like, why are there so many of these? Oh, nobody wants them. They think they're too fat.
I wouldn't have asked to meet you like this if it hadn't been very important. And I really appreciate you giving up your family time.
Actually, Deanna and Kestra will appreciate the time away from me.
So he sees Picard, and of course, it's just old sparks. And then Riker kind of drops a bomb on us.
Yeah, not he's like, sometimes they don't want me around. It's like, wow. Really?
Yeah, his wife and daughter would appreciate him taking time away from them.
Although I will say this, I have a wife and 4 daughters, and I don't think they want me around either. So I get it. I understand Riker's dilemma.
This word, Albert, I've no idea what it means.
Of course not. It was a computer virus on the Enterprise when you were incapacitated.
This is when Picard says to him, do you know anything about Hellbird? Can you explain it? And of course, Riker can. Why? He was Locutus while that was going on, and that was a term that he couldn't possibly know.
Adding 3 to every digit gives us these new coordinates. The Riken system.
Riker has insight into how to decode the coordinates, and boom, there you go. We have the coordinates. It's on the edge of Federation space.
Right, and like, okay, well, shit, we got to get a ship. How are we going to do that?
Well, I need to find a ship.
We need to find a ship.
Well, we can't go to Starfleet. She made that clear.
I think I may have a workaround. Come on.
What I love, and what we always need to have in all of these shows is they start to leave the bar, and somebody is watching them, like some kind of mystery man or some, I don't know, private eye or whatever. Somebody's following them, and so that just adds another layer.
Yeah, and true to what Beverly is saying, do not trust anybody.
Trust
the
no
walls
one.
have ears.
Yep.
Trust no one,
Yep.
Mr. Mulder.
Right. I want to believe.
Listen, you can help me. You hear things, huh? You're like the all-knowing oracle of the underworld and shit.
So the next thing, we jump to is to Raffi, and she is at Metalis Prime. Right. And she's all disguised. And I love Raffi, played by Michelle Hurd, because she has this really hard edge to her, which kind of reminds me of Worf back in the day.
Right. She's also the pretty much the only original Picard cast member to make it through to the 3rd season, other than Laris. Yeah, but it was a good choice. I mean, she's muscle. And I love her. Like, she's just got this drug, this addiction background, which is just fantastic. She's got a son, but then she was with 7 of 9. She's messed up. I like her.
Yeah, and that's what makes her perfect for this mission, because she's in the underbelly. And so we see her talking to this Orion, and I'm like, okay, this is like her drug dealer / informant. Right. And you could tell that she's addicted. She's struggling with addiction, which is, happens when people go undercover. You get so close to it, but she's in there trying to get, I'm just like, okay, what's her problem? But she states the fact that she's, that she's been kicked out of Starfleet.
Right.
And she has this desire to get back in if she can just get some information about something that's, that's a threat to the Federation.
Experimental quantum tunneling tech that in the wrong hands could be a weapon. I'm talking world-ending shit. You hear anything like that?
You're crazier than I thought. Beat it.
And do we believe that she's been kicked out? We're not sure. I didn't believe it at first.
I I didn't believe it because that's just not her. She's too strong for that.
Right.
She's too strong for that. And I just was just kind of like right out the bat. I was just like, okay, she's got to be on a mission. That's what it has to be because she's just, I just can't see her just slip up and become a drug addict and get kicked out of Starfleet.
Right. And so she's asking for these drugs and this guy's like, no. And she's like, here's everything I've got. Here's all the money I have. And the guy delivers one tip, one little nugget, and that is the Red Lady.
Yeah, because there has been an incredibly dangerous technology has been stolen from the Daystrom. Institute, which is the Federation's premier scientific research and teaching organization.
Which was highlighted in Star Trek, what is it? Into Darkness. Yep.
And so, there's some stakes here. So she's, pleading for this information. Like you said, she gave all the money and he gave this tidbit about that something's going down with the Red Lady. And I'm just like, okay, all right. So we got all these code words that are flying around now. And I'm just like, okay, what's the Red Lady?
But we'll find out. So she goes into some back alley and she contacts Starfleet, right? And she's just like, hey, listen, I've got some information.
So now I'm relieved. I'm relieved that she's, not, just a strung out person. She's on a mission. She's on assignment. But yet she's still struggling with addiction, clearly, because she throws the drugs on the ground.
Yeah.
We could be court-martialed for this.
Only if we get caught. You gotta sell this. Come on, Admiral. Show me your inspection face.
So we go back to Riker and Picard, and they're heading to a ship. And they're kind of setting it up as, well, this is an Admiral Captain surprise inspection. We want to board your ship and inspect it during a shakedown cruise. And the ship itself is the Titan. Now, I will tell you, during the off-season, when they were showing clips of teases, and we saw Riker say, hello, beautiful, I could have sworn, and I would have bet my life that they were actually talking about the Enterprise F, which is only been featured in video games. It has never been featured in canon or in film or TV, but it was the Titan. But I still maintain that we are going to see either the Enterprise D, E, or F. We're going to see, no, we can't see the D. We're going to see the E or the F. We're going to see it. But meantime, it's just the Titan.
Permission to come aboard, Commander.
Permission granted, sirs.
This is Captain William Riker. Will, this is 7 of 9.
Commander Annika Hansen, sir. Welcome to the Titan.
So they come on the ship, and who greets them?
It's 7 of 9, but she's like, nope, I'm Annika Hansen. She insists on that.
Yes, but the deal is that this Captain Shaw, of who's the captain of the ship, who's leading the ship, has made her go by her birth name.
Yes, and we're already thinking, well, who the hell is this Captain Shaw? And it's so weird to me to see her buttoned down in a Starfleet uniform. We've never seen this. She is, I don't like it. I got to be honest. It's not who she is. She's a renegade. She's always been outsider. I don't like this.
I love it. I like the fact that she's in Starfleet now because sometimes you got to come out of the wilderness, and an organization like Starfleet can use someone like her. It's just a matter of her getting her own command, so she can do it the way she wants to do it.
Yeah, but she can't, because she's like, Captain Shaw doesn't want me using my Borg insignia, and she's already being controlled. That's not going to go well. She's not someone who can be controlled.
No, I agree. But the deal is, though, I mean, we can use her. We need her in Starfleet. We need people like her. Everybody can't be buttoned up by the book, because that's when mistakes happen. So she warns them about Captain Shaw. He's clearly not a fan of theirs.
Right.
So I'm just like, I'm ready to meet this dude. I'm ready to meet this dude.
I can't wait to meet this guy. And you think he's either going to be like the Ronnie Cox character in TNG, I can't remember his name, Captain whatever, who took over the Enterprise and took alpha and beta shifts and made it alpha, beta, gamma shifts, and
Oh yeah, I
remember Ronnie
him.
Cox when he did that?
It was Angelico.
Angelico, exactly right. Is he going to be like that, or is he just this total creep? So I'm dying to see who that is.
Admiral on the bridge. And Captain on the bridge.
We don't see him yet, but they go to the bridge, and it's like Admiral on the bridge, Captain on the bridge, and there they are on the bridge. And who do we meet immediately?
Sydney LaForge. She is the navigator.
So I love this because in TNG, Geordi couldn't find a girlfriend. He couldn't even get a holodeck girl to like him. And suddenly he's a dad? This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be happy for Geordi because Geordi's one of the nicest guys on the ship.
Geordi's my favorite character of TNG, without a doubt.
Well, he would be like my best friend.
Didn't you have a nickname at the Academy?
Well,
I can't recall.
Crash LaForge? Because you crashed the shuttle?
I was a cadet.
Picard's happy to see her, but then Riker, in his joking and kind of a blabbermouth, he said, "Wait a minute! Didn't you have a nickname at the Academy?"
Crash LaForge.
And I was just like, "Oh my God!" I was cringing for her. I felt terrible for her. She's like, "Well, that."
So that was a good moment, but then it has to get down to earth because now Picard and Riker have to sit down at dinner with Shaw. And this is where we meet Shaw. And this is my favorite scene in the whole episode.
Gentlemen, please, come, join.
I apologize, Captain. Are we late?
Hardly. Just your reputation preceded you so far into the room that I started early.
I love this scene because they walk in. Shaw's already eating. He's halfway through his meal. He's just chewing his food, and they're like, "Oh, hi, are we late?" And he goes, "No, based on your reputation preceding you, I figured I would start early."
Yeah, and I was like automatic. They're like, okay, this dude is an asshole.
He's an asshole. He's bold, but he's a dick. And I love him. I don't know why. He played it so, I don't know who that actor is. We'll have to find that out, but I loved him. Loved him.
I mean, he didn't stand. He didn't shake their hand. He didn't do anything.
No.
I mean, it was the ultimate sign of disrespect, and it didn't stop there.
Captain Riker and I would like to change course.
No.
Respectfully, Captain, I am an admiral.
Retired.
But I'm still a captain.
Without a chair. Titan's mine now.
So then he's just lobbing insults left and right.
I
mean, just here and there. He's just jabbing them. And Picard informs him that, we need to change course. Captain Shaw's like, no.
No, we're not going to do that.
And I was just like, and Riker's like, you're talking to our admiral. And he's like, retired.
Retired. Yeah, exactly. He just had a notice for everything. It's like, no, we'd have to go out and back and out again. And I don't see the point of that. What he's thinking is this. I don't want to be inspected. This is my boat. Leave me the fuck alone. If you're going to be on here, you're going to go where I go. Oh my God, I loved it. And the thing is, they can't say anything or do anything because they're not actually on a shakedown mission. They're trying to take the ship somewhere where Shaw doesn't want to go, but they can't say anything about it. So they got to sit there and take those insults. It was so great.
That went well.
Every moment that we're not en route for the Riken system, my concern for Beverly grows.
How do we pivot?
Short of mutiny, I'm at a loss.
They walk out and they're just like, well, what do we do? And they're just trying to figure it out.
Yep.
7 and 9 is back there in the hallway, and what they're doing isn't passing the sniff test with her.
Right.
And 7 is not a dummy.
I've been under for the months, trying to figure out who stole these goddamn experimental weapons from Daystrom Station and why. I spend every second of every day terrified with the thought that someone is going to use this weapon to hurt people.
So, we get back with Raffi and Metellus Prime, and she's speaking to her handler in Starfleet Intelligence. Mm-hmm. And they're hashing out who this red lady is. What the red lady is. Is it a person? Is it a thing? And the big thing that's coming through is that Raffi has had enough.
And she's obviously afraid that whatever this is, it'll be weapons stolen from Daystrom, used against humanity used against Starfleet. She's scared.
Yeah, and the handler just comes to the conclusion that an attack is imminent.
Yeah. I like that because it gives us a parallel urgency. We're trying to find Beverly. We're trying to figure out what happened there. And at the same time, Raffi is chasing down some kind of mass destruction plot. It's good. I think it works.
This is utterly humiliating.
Yes, it is. Reminds me of my cadet days. Only I don't remember having to get up to pee this much.
Oh, absolutely. And so we get back to the Titan and we find William Riker and Jean-Luc Picard sleeping in a bunk bed. So they're basically in the barracks.
Yeah,
the
this is lower decks. And then Picard reveals the last time he saw Beverly, it ended on bad terms, and he didn't think 20 years would go by.
Yeah, and
it's painful
once again,
for him.
Yeah, once again, we're dealing with regret. And that's something that I think we all go through. As we get older, we reflect on things, especially if we have unfinished business.
Admiral Picard, Captain Riker, please report to observation.
They get the summons from Seven, who gets them both to the observation room. She's like, come with me, and they show up there. And there's a half a second of pleasantries, and she turns around and she's like, what the hell is going on with you two? I know something's going on. And I love that scene because she's just so human. Remember when she was captured by Voyager and brought on board as a Borg, and she's just come so far, and I just love how human she is.
I'm about to throw both of you out an airlock and never look back.
Watch it, Commander. Is that how you speak to an admiral?
That's how I speak to a friend.
Riker checks her. She's like, wait a minute, you're speaking to her admiral. And, Picard waves that off. And she's like, I'm speaking to him as a friend.
As a friend, exactly right. What the fuck are you doing?
Because she has to speak off the record. I mean, speak freely. And so I'm like, all right. So she knows what the hell's going on. So they got to fess up to what the deal is.
And, Picard tells Seven, he's like, listen, here's the situation. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to jeopardize your career. I didn't want to mess you up. And she's like, it's fine. Because she does, listen, to be honest, I just don't think she likes being Starfleet. She certainly doesn't like Shaw. And she's like, let's go for this.
You disobeyed orders.
Welcome to the Riken system, gentlemen. The edge of Federation space.
Seven leads Picard and Riker to the bridge.
Yep.
And basically gives them the heads up that they got this little limited window to get the shuttle out, out.
Yep.
And to go ahead and go to the coordinates for Beverly.
Yeah.
And so she's like, screw it. She's just going to do what she thinks is right.
Right.
And they head out there.
Someone want to tell me what the hell I am looking at?
This is the Riken system, sir.
This was you. You just loyaltied your way to the end of a career.
But then Shaw wakes up and
he
looks
wakes
out
up
the
from
window.
his whatever sleep, and he's like, wait, we're not where we're supposed to be.
Computer, check Red Lady as, I don't know, the name of a vessel.
This will be your 23rd search attempt.
Back on Raffi's ship, she has her aha moment.
Yep.
She goes through, she sorts and, goes through different combinations and she finds the meaning of the Red Lady. It's actually a red statue,
right.
A red statue of a Starfleet officer outside of District 7,
right.
where I'm assuming Frontier Day celebrations are about to be held.
It is funny, Frontier Day. I love it. It's 250 years since what? Was it First Contact?
I don't know. It sounds like a lot of people are going to be in one spot, and that just
exactly. It's
ripe for a target.
Starfleet recruitment. I need to speak with a security official. I believe you're under imminent threat of a terrorist attack.
So Raffi arrives at District 7, and she's trying to warn.
Time, by the way.
Yeah. And so she's trying to warn them, and it appears communications are being jammed. She can't get through.
Right.
And something really weird happens. The whole building sinks sucked into the ground.
Before it sinks, there's this weird yellow circle that surrounds it, kind of like a force field. It sinks, and then the sky opens up, as if...
And dumps it back down.
It's very X-Men. It reminded me of X-Men Days of Future Past when they were...
Yep, exactly.
Doing that.
Yeah, so a lot of people have just died.
Yeah.
Raffi didn't get there in time to stop it.
Nope.
Your hands are stiff. My knees are killing me. So long as we don't have to move or shoot, we should be fine.
So we're back to Beverly's rescue. Picard and Riker have boarded Beverly's ship.
Right.
And, they're walking around. So it's kind of a ominous thing. And they're getting ready to get out there, and they, take a nod to their age,
Right, because...
Picard's like, my hand hurts.
This is my favorite scene, is my hand's hurting. He's like, yeah, my knees hurt too. I can't really... And what I loved about that is the producers said from the beginning, it's been 20 years. They've changed. Let's show that. I'll be 57 on Tuesday. My knee hurts. And that's what people talk about. It was a fantastic moment. I thought it was really, and I bet you it was improvised.
Yeah. So the two of them split up.
Yeah.
Picard discovers Beverly's cryo tube.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
weird.
This young man,
yeah,
has basically taken Riker hostage.
Yeah.
And comes into the room.
I am Starfleet Admiral Jean Luc Picard, and the man you're holding hostage is Captain William Riker. Now lower your weapon. We're here to help you.
Who is this dude? And
yeah.
And so Riker, manages to elbow the dude in the face.
Always. And which he always does, by the way.
That was a Riker move. Yeah, definitely a Riker move. And he takes his phaser, and they want to know who he is. And
Beverly would never call out halfway across the galaxy in order to save only herself.
And who's this?
The son.
Who is he?
He's Beverly's son. Now, let me ask you this. This is the big deal. We know that Wesley Crusher is Beverly's son from Jack Crusher. He's now a traveler. He's off in the universe. We saw that at the end of season 2, Picard. This son, if you noticed, has a what? British accent. Is he Picard's son? And is this shades of Kirk and Carol Marcus?
I think so.
If he knew that kid existed, knowing Picard, he would have done something about it.
Yeah, but there's also a thing that maybe she was pregnant, and he said something to the fact of, I don't ever want to have kids. I want to have a family. And she's like, all right. Well,
and that's why she's disappeared for 20 years.
As our guess, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out in later episodes.
Oh, my God.
Is our guess accurate?
Proximity alert. Unknown vessel approaching.
You just led them straight to us. What the hell is going on? We're being hunted.
This kid, he basically... states the fact that we've been discovered again. So they've been on the run. It's clearly established.
Why are they on the run? And why are they running? We need to figure this out. Obviously, we will. But what a great mystery to pose. Because from the second it started to the end, it's, shit, they found us. Well, who found you? Why are you running? This is the big question. I love that it wasn't answered in the first episode.
Yep, and so then we go to a space shop. We see the Beverly's little ship, and then this giant ship come into frame. Now, we know from based on the trailers and what we've seen in the run-up to
Amanda Plummer.
That ship is going to rip a hole in the Titan. So that's coming up. But we first got to get off the ship.
The season premiere of Picard was full of exceptional moments.
But there were definitely some that deserved some recognition.
This is utterly humiliating.
Reminds me of my cadet days. Only I don't remember having to get up to pee this much.
Your hands are stiff. My knees are killing me. So long as we don't have to move or shoot, we should be fine.
Well, I said it before, but I have to say it again. And you and I are growing older. We're in our 50s now. To watch our beloved characters, Riker and Picard, who we've known for 35 years, start to talk about their aches and pains, to me, was so awesome. I love everything about Star Trek. I love the science. I love the fantasy. But for them to just go, you know what? We're old and we're exhausted and things hurt. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
Elios, divert all power to the warp core.
This message is for Admiral Jean Luc Picard.
One of my big moments was just seeing Beverly Crusher just take this aggressive protective stance. She was defending her house. This is a Beverly Crusher who has experienced some things, and we're going to find out everything that has happened to her over 20 years. But she is a different Beverly Crusher than the one we originally knew.
I can't wait. Here are this week's episode's best performances.
I apologize, Captain. Are we late?
Hardly. Just your reputation preceded you so far into the room that I started early. I'm really sorry, fellas. I love you. I do. I love reading about all your wildly exciting and equally irresponsible adventures.
So I think this week's episode best performance was Shaw. When someone like Shaw comes in and chews up the scenery in front of Jean-Luc Picard, that guy stole the show for me.
How can I inspire when all I do is take shit from someone like Shaw? How am I supposed to just ignore my gut, ignore my instincts just to follow orders?
For me, I think that one of the performances that also resonated with me was, 7 of 9. I like the fact that she's torn. She's caught in this space. She wants to do something where she can lead like Picard, but she's locked in this position as number 2 where she's being disrespected at every turn. But then she turns right around and does a 7 of 9 kind of thing and covers for Picard and Riker. So I really like that.
I'm happy about that too. I when she was wearing the uniform and kowtowing to Shaw, I thought, that's not who she is. That can't possibly last.
Yeah, and I think Shaw's going to get himself killed.
I hope
He's a
so.
jerk.
I want to watch it.
Man, what a great episode. And I'm looking for more.
Always.
Well, that concludes this episode of the Star Trek Picard edition of Energize.
So if you want any more information, go to our website, www.energizepodcasts.com.
Thanks for listening. I'm Anthony McLemore.
I'm Steve Truitt. Live long and prosper.